Hello there, and welcome to the session on technology and technological innovation in the digital domain. The move online and into the digital domain is driving significant innovation. Connectivity, combined with increasingly easy access to enhanced compute performance, enables previously unimaginable capabilities. Whilst new media formats are now under development, the traditional broadcast technologies are really unable to accommodate. In this session, we're going to explore high bandwidth video formats and volumetric video, voice analysis technologies, and streaming protocols. And we're going to examine the key challenges of bringing some of these technologies to market and getting them to the mainstream. Now, as you said there, I'm Simon Forrest. I work with FutureSource Consulting. We are a research company. We look after any device essentially in the home with consumer electronics, but we also look at the camera technology that's sitting here at IBC. So we are a glass-to-glass research company, and we look at everything through the content. If the content touches it, we deal with it. So if that's interesting to you, come and speak to us. I'm delighted now to be joined by three experts in the industry who have kindly agreed to share their time and their perspectives on technology development. And what we're going to do here is we're going to have individual sessions. Each of the speakers will come up and present their own take on the technology that they have and how they feel about the innovation. And then we'll do the panel session afterwards, and we'll ask some questions to the team. So first panelist then is Laurent Desplessin. He is a Senior Director of Research and Innovation at Home Lab at InterDigital. He leads a team of engineers and scientists, and they're all dedicated to creating value through IP, standards contribution, and technology development. And they do networking, video, cloud, and edge computing. He moved to InterDigital in June 2019, I believe, when the company acquired Technicolor's Research and Innovation Group. And InterDigital are building what they call the living network, which my understand is networks self-optimizing to deliver the level of service that is tailored to the content, the device, or the need. So with that, I invite Lauren to the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Hi, everybody. So what we'll present to you today. So it's a first participation for InterDigital at the IBC. I mean, first significant participation, but of course we are very well known in the wireless industry, and especially I mean, for many years we have been contributing to the wireless standards from the 2G up to now the 5G, and we are even working on the 6G. So. I don't know, next one. Okay, so the thing here we will discuss is, of course, digital innovation. So we try to present what are the types of technology, and especially around the streaming and around the source content that are evolving right now. And if you look in the state of the art, we see that there are several extensions that are around that we are now observing, appearing, and of course that we are working on. So the first thing is the immersivity and media-rich content. So we are all witnessing the volumetric and synthetic, hybrid, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality is really pushing the boundaries of the content and what we can observe onto the screen right now. So even though this is not completely fully commercial, we can observe the demo, and especially if you come in the different booths at the IBC, you will see that for sure. The other one is the ultra bandwidth. So 8K is really around the corner. This is at everyone's mouth. But now, how could we, deliver this 8K content, this high resolution content to the TV screen? So some of the companies here are demonstrating, for instance, the mobile TV, including modems, 5G modems. Just to mention, Samsung, for instance, is showing this year TV with a 5G modem. And so 5G is really offering a promising solution to do that. And being a main actor of this, we are delighted about this new opportunity. Scalable and cost-effective, so massive increase. The thing is that, of course, we see that there is always this battle between the local and the cloud. So the answer is that simply we need to find a cost-effective and scalable solution. And of course, the edge computing is one of the potential solution to this bottleneck. Highly interactive cloud gaming. So cloud gaming, I think it's nearly useless to say, but cloud gaming is really ramping up very rapidly. In the past, early pioneers, they've started, trying to sell this to telcos, but now Google and others, they are also trying to deploy their end-to-end solution using their channel, the existing channel, and especially the mobile phones. Ultra-low latency, this is something that I think is very interesting also for my colleague here, Mark. And of course, there are several standards that are now competing to try to deliver the lowest latency. Also for cloud gaming, such as WebRTC, SRT, and I will not speak more on this because Mark is here and will elaborate on that. So what we will show at the booth, so it would have been very complex to summarize, in this short presentation, what we will show today, but we are showing VR experience. We are really showing the full-fledged of technologies that we are developing at InterDigital. We have AR experience running on the phone. We have a volumetric video 2D on the screen. We are showing all these type of things where you can experience the parallax, really getting natural and immersive with this experience. So other than that, we are also, of course, showing point cloud compression, and we are emphasizing what we are doing for the compression and the standards. So InterDigital is really a standards-driven company, wireless, but now also video, and we are embracing all the MPEG standards, and especially the PCC or the VVC. So we are showing at the booths very interesting demonstration and results on what we are able to deliver with the VVC and PCC. Completely at the left, there is the metadata for immersive video. And please come to the booth, and you will really see more. That's it for this 6 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurent. That's a nice and easy introduction to volumetric video. I'm really interested to talk to you a bit about the panel session. Now, next panelist, next presenter is João Neto, and he is CEO of a company called VoiceInteraction, having co-founded the company over 11 years ago. His PhD thesis on speaker adaptation in the context of hybrid artificial neural networks and hidden Markov models for continuous speech recognition systems led to the customization of these systems for news broadcasting systems. Wow, that's a lot of work. Now, VoiceInteraction today focuses on advanced speech recognition technologies and extracting data from video, allowing live closed captioning and also audio monitoring solutions. So with that, I invite João to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you to the IBC Content Everywhere, to the organization of this panel, to invite me to be here. I will talk a little bit about the technology for broadcasting, but from the point of view in terms of viewer, and the way that we can work and the way that we can explore this kind of information. Okay. What we are seeing is increased demand for video applications, and that demand have been putting a lot of stress in terms of communication and mobility. And what we are looking for, and what we access now, is the development of the technologies and all the stress that we are putting in terms of communication and also in terms of mobility. And also there is, when I'm talking about broadcasting, there is also a shift from the view that we normally do at home to something that we do everywhere, okay? And for that, the mobile is something which is very relevant. Also, we are coming from something that we are used to in terms of linear TV to something that now is catch-up TV or VOD. And that change in terms of paradigm implies also something in terms of change in terms of technology. And from one side, there is a huge demand for content. Okay? Content normally is the king. But the problem is, normally we are talking about video, we are talking about films. But normally there is a lot of other information, a lot of other content that is necessary to look for and trying to understand how we can work and how we can manage that kind of content. And if you look also for the new generations, the way they are looking to this kind of content, they are basically looking for some interactivity and some personalization, okay? And the idea is how can we in some way work on this scenario and how can we use our technology to improve the relationships and all the demand that we have here. When we are talking about interactivity and in terms of personalization, okay, basically we are looking to the need for a full description of content. And for this sense, we are coming from something which is the classical video, when we have the video and that is just one media stream, to something which are objects. And that our objects are in some way inside of a content of that stream. And we are talking about video, we are talking about audio, we are talking about closed captioning, we are talking about different language, we are talking about text that is presenting on screen, we are talking about weather, traffic, several cameras view that is normally need for sports, and the metadata that is describing this content, okay? And that means we are not only talking about the content, but also the information that is inside that content. And for that, we need to have some kind of algorithms, some way to describe that kind of content, okay? And when you look, there is obviously a hype now, talking about artificial intelligence and also in terms of machine learning algorithms. But one of the uses that we can do to this kind of new technologies is exactly on this case in terms of the description of this kind of content, okay? VoiceInteraction have been working on this area for a long time, and when we look to this and the use that we can do to this kind of technology, we can get as an output about the transcription, the information about names, places, thematic classifications, segmentation of information, information about the speakers, speaker turn, speaker ID, information about the faces, face ID, and also in terms of object recognition, okay? The idea is to getting the information and putting the technology working to getting all this information from the original video and transforming just one stream of information in multiple streams and to be indexed and to be searched on that kind of content. From the other side, that means we need to have also some smart applications. That means you need to, from one side, to get the information, but on another side, trying to understand how we can work with this kind of information. And the idea is to be able to use these objects and to choose the best viewer option to analyze that kind of information. And the same content, that means the same content can be visualized in different ways, in different formats, okay? Not only by recommendation, that means we are not only talking about recommendation, but basically what we have to do is to focus in terms of user experience, okay? And the idea is trying to have the full cycle from one side to analyze the content, to extracting the information, and to provide a good visualization of that content, and to be personalized and to be interactive. VoiceInteraction is here in all 14 on content everywhere. D08. If you have any questions, please feel free to pass there. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really interesting. I'm very interested to look at later how you extract information from the content rather than just data. That's very, very interesting. So the third panelist here today is Mark Simonkiewski, and he is VP of Engineering for Haivision. Mark has over 20 years' experience in digital video and today leads Haivision's engineering group. Mark founded Montivision Imaging Technology in 2002. That's a long time ago now, isn't it, really? Wow. You developed video software for machine vision and broadcast and internet streaming. His company was acquired by Haivision in 2011 to help create the company's first internet media solution portfolio. And Mark has been instrumental in developing the Secure Reliable Transport, or SRT, open source video transport protocol, which allows delivery of high quality, secure, low latency video across unreliable networks, including the public internet. So with that, let's invite Mark to the stage. Thank you.
So after coming up with the open source protocol, which I keep calling a glue, because what SRT really is, it allows you to connect different endpoints, whether they're in the cloud or on-premise, and kind of exchange information between them. The idea is, like, how can we use this to unify the ecosystem in the broadcast world a little bit further? So we came up with the concept of a serverless cloud platform where we use the protocol to connect different partners in the ecosystem and route SRT over a fiber network, in this case the Azure backbone, in order to get a really good connectivity between them and control kind of this as a whole. So if you look at the slides here, what we're trying to do is use different regions on the world as ingress and egress points to get streams in and out, be as close as possible with your on-prem source or destination of the SRT stream to the next region, so that the public internet connection is very short, and then traverse the internet by going over dedicated fiber. We can do this for live and file-based workflows, and it's meant to be optimized for broadcasters. There's a link. So we came up with an idea. What if we could have a kind of like a visual system where you drop in components and you connect them together like Lego? And I did that in my former life in a machine vision environment, as Montivision, as you mentioned. So what we did here is we created a unified API which we give to partners, and they build against this API. So now you can create these components in a unified UI, API-driven. So later you could also directly access the API to solve these workflows. So what you see here is all these different companies that build plugins to the system, which you can now in the UI connect with each other, which allows you to build a broadcast ecosystem that is unified. And you don't go to vendor A and B and C. You go to one centralized UI. You click it all together, and you can work with all these different vendors. And again, SRT comes in as a glue between them, so that connects the dots, sending the streams from A to B. This is an example of the UI where the dashboard gives you an overview of where your streams are, where they are going, and what the health is. On the right side, you can see how the routes are being put together. So basically, it's like a connect the dots. And at the end, if you start this, then it spawns up containers all over the planet, depending on where your routes are going, where your cloud solutions are sitting, whether you're connecting to on-prem or direct cloud solutions. And after like a few minutes, the system is up and running, involving different players from the industry. Right? It's not one; it's many different working together. So there's an example that you can see, for example, at the Telestream booth, where we are using this to contribute across the planet over the Azure backbone into Telestream. So basically get rid of the contribution issue that many people have typically in the past using RTMP. Now you can use SRT, but you don't have to kind of build everything yourself, but different players have different strengths, and we can do it together. So we are using this here to connect two demos, to connect Vantage with Avid, so we can do a live on-prem contribution into Vantage, have a file written in the cloud, transcode it, put it into the Avid Nexus storage, and access it directly. So what this gives you is basically you can edit the live stream while it's coming in. And the second demo is Telestream's Optic, where we contribute into their system, and they have a TV channel in the cloud that utilizes. Again, it's different players all working together. And the other demo is you can see it at the Avid or Microsoft booth or at our booth, where we are doing the same contribution feed over the backbone, which could be coming from, say, Australia. You want to go to a data center in the US. You feed it into a fast-serve box from Avid, either on-prem or in the cloud. Both are available. And all this is created by clicking these components together in UI or directly via the API that the system is giving you. I think that's the last one, right? Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Very interesting, because SRT has been widely adopted. It's massive here, I think, in the show. So with that, it brings me to the panel session. So I invite each of the panelists to now come up, and we'll talk about some of the innovation, and especially how the challenges are of getting this innovation actually out there in the mainstream. That's the important piece. So thanks, guys. Yeah, so we're gonna start with a simple question because it's an easy opener. So it's often said that that product life cycles are accelerating, but is this your view? Do you feel this? Anybody want to take the question?
Yeah, definitely.
Whichever.
Yeah.
However,
Which one can take this one? But I think we are all observing that there is clearly an acceleration of the product life cycle, and the versatility. I mean, it's coming from all sides. You know, this is really the first slide that I've shown was really to show that it's not only one thing that is growing fast. It's really several things at the same time. We are requiring now low latency, large bandwidth, better experience, more content. You know, it's all at the same time. Reliability, security.
So all of those technologies coming together really now.
Exactly, but they are coming as an answer to the new products that are required by the end users, and we observed that also in the past, looking at even the mobile phones. You know, I started my career in the mobile phones. We were releasing, you know, as new software. Let's say originally, let's say each year or each 6 months. Now you see even from Apple or Android, they are releasing their life cycle is very, very fast. They are releasing all the time new OS versions. So it's
pretty much constant, isn't it? Yeah. How about you guys? Do you see the same?
Yeah, it's just a question of not only in terms of the market, because normally the market demands that kind of advances, but also because the technology, and if you want to develop the technology, that means you have to come from the lab. You have to come to the market and trying to see exactly what the users, what the customers needs, and trying to develop the technology and develop your products according to that needs. Okay, and that is relevant because sometimes we are just developing the technology, working on the technology, but you have to look also to the use of that technology, okay? And that kind of information, that kind of knowledge that we'll bring from the users is relevant in terms of the way that you develop the technology.
Yeah, so it's a closed circle that you have now, and it's much tighter than it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself?
It's also driven by the technology, because if you look at the way cloud native works, is you can do rolling updates all the time. That's when Netflix is saying they are doing a couple of thousand updates every day, and you don't realize, right? All the tools that we are using every day, the cloud tools, they update all the time. You see a little flick here, a little thing there. Like, it's completely new way of how you design systems, and that it's coming into broadcast for sure.
Yeah, and is that affecting the way that you do business? I mean, your software engineering teams, for example, must be really going at it all the time, literally turning, as you said, the handle every day.
Yeah, it's a different way of actually. That's why companies are shifting from the typical software development to QA more to a continuous deployment model, where the developers have a lot more responsibility, because whatever they push out has to be rock solid.
Absolutely, yeah. They can't afford it to be beta testing all the time.
Yeah, right.
That's right. So with that in mind, then, what are the biggest challenges you see in bringing these disruptive propositions to market? You know, how is it? How do you see this? How do you get it there?
Yeah, because that will depending in terms of the way that you are developing the technology, but also in terms of the acceptability of that technology by the market. And when you are developing, you have to understand that you are in a kind of environment that is complete, and is the combination of the way that you develop, the way that you use the technology, and also in terms of the market and how the market see that kind of development.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. How do you guys see it?
Yeah, and especially I totally agree on what was said, and I would say, for instance, let's take the privacy. I mean, it has been around for quite a while now, having cameras in the home, but the people acceptance on that is really different depending on the region and depending on the age, depending on a lot of things. So we are using this type of things to look at different angles, or we can introduce technology that can help the end user without, damaging its privacy. So for instance, we are working on radar sensing technologies, because this is also a way to protect the privacy of the end users. So it's really about hearing the end users and looking at the market and how to deploy our technology.
And that's a very key piece, as you say. You can't just go ahead and put the technology out there. You have to work really what the market's telling you.
Ahead of that,
And it's hard enough to get the technology out there, because with the implication that these deployment models have, coming, in our case, for example, from a very embedded design hardware company, going to software, going to cloud, you keep changing the whole company all the time. You re-educate all the teams, you restructure all the teams continuously. Like, it's a challenge.
Yeah, that is. I've not really thought about it that way until you said it, because I was traditionally in software for many, many years, and it was a case of software product, go out there, every 6 months you'd do a gold release, and it would go out there and the customer would use it, and then you'd find the bugs later. But now it's continuous, as you said, this development pathway.
Continuous integration, now it's mainstream.
Yeah.
Continuous integration. We are no longer doing V-cycle. In the old times we were having this V-cycle approach. It's totally over now. All the projects are run in agile, and with continuous integration. So to get as rapidly as we can, the results of what is developed under the hood. So.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So the technology is driving some of this, and with compute performance increasing massively now, and obviously networking technology is progressing to come faster and even more reliable, as you said earlier. How do you see innovation advancing to harness the sort of duopoly provided by this opportunity?
Well, I mean, what I showed is basically trying to play the game a little bit different. Like in the past, everybody was trying to build their own markets, right? I think in the future we will see a lot more ecosystem plays, because it's all in the cloud. You don't want to have 7 different cloud accounts and then try to work with all these different people. Like, you really want an ecosystem where you can go to, and you still have all the different vendors, but they are working together rather than against each other. Because it really doesn't make any sense, because the market is big, there's enough to share for everybody. Like, let's do this together.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I remember once describing actually to my colleagues that there wasn't just a cloud, it is several hundred clouds, if not thousands of them now, and they all have to interoperate. And maybe you do, as you say, interoperate at cloud level in order to make share data between them.
Right.
Anybody else feel on needs?
I mean, of course, the complementarity is key. I mean, I am observing this. I mean, we recently, I mean, John, you explained that during my introduction. So technical RNA research was acquired by InterDigital, and it was really a huge opportunity for us because, in fact, we just discovered a world of opportunities, having those guys joining what we were doing and helping us to provide new solutions that we would have never thought, staying alone in our world. Wireless is smoothly combining, nicely combining with the video things that we are doing, and it's really this way that we can nurture and provide and seed new products, new innovative products.
Okay.
Innovation is normally a huge opportunity to get new things and the possibility to work on different areas. For example, VoiceInteraction, we have been working in terms of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and there is actually a hype on these kind of technologies. But when we look deep, what we see is most of these technology have been developing some years ago. Okay, and when we have been developing, probably there is no conditions at that time to use this technology, okay? And for example, what we have been doing in terms, for example, speech recognition, we have been using the models that we are using now, using large amount of data, okay? And if you look to this, to 5 or 6 years ago, there is no processing power to use that models, okay? That we have now, okay? That means we are talking about something that have been developed in the past. We have been innovating at that time, and what we are now is bringing that to the market because now it's possible to use it, okay? Now we have the conditions necessary to use that innovation process that we've been developing before, okay? And this is relevant in the sense that we are doing a connection between what we can do in terms of research and development and in terms of innovation and what we can bring to the products and bring to the market and the way that we can interact on that way. Okay.
And that's a very good point. I mean, it's one that you brought me on to here is machine learning. That's the sort of big buzzword out there. And dare I say, artificial intelligence. I know machine learning does not equal artificial intelligence. I'm very clear on that as a researcher that we don't get those two confused. But is it where it's at now? Is it now commonplace across IBC?
Just to give you an example, in our organization, it's really massive. It's really massive things. We are running, let's say, 12 or 13 projects that are touching machine learning or artificial intelligence. What is interesting to look at here is that it's not giving you the use case. It's a fantastic tool. So it's applicable to so many things that this is also the way why it's used everywhere. I mean, I mentioned earlier radar sensing, but we are using this thing for doing traffic steering, under wireless traffic steering. We are using it also for media, which is more commonplace right now, AI video, and you're doing speech. We have worked also on speaker ID and speech. Of course, on this type of media, audio, speech, and things like that. It has been applied for a few years, although I worked 20 years ago on speech recognition and also on the hidden Markov model. It was, popular at this time. Now it's a lot of things that were done in the past are now rethought in let's say, artificial intelligence, machine learning oriented way, but this is basically the same things behind that we are trying to address. The challenges that we're trying to address are the same, with the exception that we now have the computing power and moreover the data. We have the data.
Yeah.
Data, it's really something that is from the ImageNet that was provided in 2013. This is for the video and pictures, to the audio, where you have now a lot of databases that you can use to to model, to provide to your model for the learning.
So it is massively increasing the ability of what the systems can do. I mean, it's been there for a long time. We know machine learning's been in the background, but now it's become the sort of buzzword at the moment. So how do you guys see it? Is it commonplace now in your industry?
that is the point, in the sense that now you have a lot of data, okay? And when you have data and you have ability to work on top of that data, that means the algorithms that we have been developing now, that we've been developing in the past, can getting better results now. Okay, we've been talking about Markov models, but when we look to the present systems, they are still using there. Okay, and we are talking about something from the 70s. Okay, and when we look to all the innovation process, there is always a flow of information, and we have to go from the idea to the output. And normally that will depending the way that the information is organized in terms of the algorithms, but also in terms of how you compute and what data you have. Okay, and machine learning now is something which is relevant in the sense that we have data and we have ways to compute that data.
And there is also something that is totally new, I mean, with AI and machine learning compared to the old days of, let's say, signal processing, advanced signal processing that we were using for speech recognition, is that usually you were having this front end where you were extracting the features. Let's not to be technical, where you were extracting the features that are meaningful to one speech. Now this stage is done by and you were having, you know, the inference, what we call the inference, and the learning. Those steps, they are now blurred, so they are combined. I mean, the feature extraction is part of the artificial intelligence,
Right.
Which was not the case with when I started let's say 20 years ago at Philips on speech recognition. We were having this front end extracting, you know, the features.
Yeah.
This is the case for all the technologies where we are playing now machine learning.
So it is pretty commonplace.
I do remember using these algorithms on video like 15, 20 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was like, okay, start the algorithm on this small clip overnight, come back tomorrow. Like, right? And now it moved over to VOD optimization. Netflix and the likes are doing this for a while now. And right now we're at the stage where we see it live. So there's people like Epic Labs around the corner here. They are applying it to live video. They have trained a model with many thousand different video clips, so that they know exactly how to tweak a codec to transcode the video live and save you the bandwidth on the output while maintaining the quality coming in. So it's come a long way, and it's very impressive.
It's exceptional. It's all real time now, isn't it? That's the nice thing. So I know we're running short of time, so let's move forward on to another technology that's sort of hot out there, and that's blockchain. It's not something I'm looking at too much at the moment, but how does blockchain affect the industry? You know, what do we see in the media entertainment industry for blockchain? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's something new that are coming to the market, and they have different effects on the market. But still, are something new that we don't know exactly where we can get with this kind of technology. Okay.
So early days for it, yeah. How about you, Mark?
I see a lot of potential there, because what this is giving us is, I see 3 areas that I'm looking at. The first thing is the digital IDs that we can put on the blockchain rather than somebody taking care of them in a centralized data center. That's very fascinating, because it gives us a chance to get over this, like all my account information is stored in this company and they can give this to others. It's like I'm responsible for my data, it's secured, and I can keep it and I can share it with people that I wanted to. So that's very important. The second thing is the smart contracts that some of these platforms are offering allows you to automate a lot of processes that machine would start talk to them to each other automatically, right? You don't need a human being to say, yes, start this transaction. The machine knows it needs this information right now. It pays the other machine for the information.
Yeah.
And this is a third topic, is the micropayments that this can enable. So in the future, you can pay on a per second or on a per minute or whatever. You don't have to do it on a per month base. It's transforming.
So you're seeing a lot of opportunity here.
I see a lot of opportunities there, yeah.
How about you, Laura?
So, I mean, in my opinion on blockchain is the following. I would say that the blockchain, they are bringing very interesting concepts such as the distributed trust. It's a way, to have this distributed trust. It's the reason it's mainly used for the money. I mean, all this type of money, virtual money. Sorry, I would say. But the thing is that, of course, it's still coming right now with challenges in the sense that you are requiring a lot of power right now to have this running. Still, the concept is very interesting because when you are thinking about distributing distributed algorithms or trust, it's also a way to reduce latency. It's also a way to deploy on different devices, and we are working in this type of domains. For instance, we are looking at how to distribute inference between different type of home devices. So maybe a blockchain. So home devices, you are in in trust environment. So this is not that required. But if you extend it a bit to let's say an area in a city or where you would like to deploy some algorithms and things like that, maybe a blockchain could be interesting in this case because there is not so many people to or so many devices to trust. So and it's interesting this way. But the way it is used currently, it's reaching, I think, some limits.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it's early days for the technology, but everyone's thinking about how to explore it. And the other one we said we'd talk about, actually, we've only got a few minutes left, was cloud gaming. So where are we at with cloud gaming innovation? Are we nearly there yet?
So cloud gaming, I mean, this is really an interesting topic in the sense that, I mean, we have been looking at this. I mean, the main actors, the early adopters of this technology, pioneer of this technology, they wanted to develop something with what they have off the shelf.
Yeah.
You know? So they have the streaming protocols, they took it. They have some network protocol that they were working on, they took it. But now that we are that they want to deploy onto the market, they are reaching scalability problems. They are reaching latency problems. They are reaching problems that really tech people are not surprised by. So it's very interesting because it's a huge opportunity to show that we have solution to that. For instance, for the streaming, it's RT. I mean, you made a great presentation explaining how you would provide this higher layer of reliability onto RTP, for instance, which is a very low latency protocol.
Yeah.
There are others. I'm sorry about that, but of course, WebRTC is another contender in these directions. But are they the ultimate and holy grail solution? Will they be able to provide for all what we need? I think there will be a first step. But then it will pave the way for other technology to come up. For instance, for the volumetric, you have cloud gaming, but then imagine cloud gaming for volumetric.
Yeah.
It's even a larger scale thing to do. So this means that we will need to solve other problems. So the more problems we have, the more opportunities we can find to solve them. So that's good.
So it's all about that scalability and bandwidth, Quick comments from you guys?
Yeah.
And latency. Scalability, bandwidth, and latency.
Oh, latency, yes. Latency, absolutely critical.
Probably,
Yeah. This kind of application, for example, is one that is demanding a lot in terms of bandwidth for the video, but also the possibility to have some personalization, and the way that we can have the fact that you are just doing that from the cloud, or to have the sharing between different kind of users, give you also the possibility to work individually in terms of the game, and to have that kind of personalization that is necessary also to attract new people to this kind of applications.
That's interesting insight there.
Yeah, I see an interesting area where the video codecs to encode those scenarios, which are 3D kind of animated scenarios, it's completely different from your typical video content, right? So there's a huge opportunity for optimized codecs that bring down the amount of data over these links in order to get the best performance on the network.
Yeah, so there's still a way to go then. So that November release for Google Stadia may be interesting, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
on the business side, I mean, there is also interesting things to see. Is that of course the business model can be exactly the same that the Netflix or the Spotify.
That's very true.
You are streaming audio, you are streaming video, or you would just stream the game. So all the charging is ready. If you are using your telcos to get this service, they already have all the OSS, BSS, so the charging, getting the revenue, all is ready to this kind of.
It's all ready to go, really.
Yeah,
The infrastructures are there, yeah.
So it's
Okay, I think we're running short of time, so thanks again to the panel here. So I think really it's been a little interesting session here. The pace of innovation actually has probably never been faster. I think that's what you're all agreeing here. Machine learning and AI technologies, of course, helping to develop applications that were previously unattainable. And that's real time now. That's the interesting piece here. Network maturity, as you said, that improves things and helps accelerate that innovation. But nevertheless, I think that the challenges that are involved in getting innovative products to market are still as relevant today as they ever have been. And I think the only constant here is actually change. So with that, thank you to the panelists. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to João and Laurent. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you.